Welcome back. Now, the 16th annual Global Entrepreneurship Week aims to improve job creation globally and enhance economic growth. Statistics show that South Africa's entrepreneurial activity over the past 8 years has improved. However, the economy lags behind compared to many other economies. Joining us now in studio to expand further on entrepreneurial opportunities in South Africa is dragon investor Lebo Gunguluza and entrepreneur Sibusiso Ngwenya. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting us.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you in studio's Global Entrepreneurship Week. And which other entrepreneurs could we be speaking to if it's not for you guys? And I'll start with you. We've known your story. We've seen the socks. We've seen you at the lowest. We've seen you at your highest. What would you say are some of the learnings that you've taken out of your entrepreneurship journey?
Well, before we put the spotlight on me, thank you for inviting me and inviting my mentor at the same time,
yes.
Mr. Lebo Gunguluza. Me and my peers have watched him from a distance. And before we get into my story, I just want to give you your flowers in front of the country watching and say thank you very much for putting your story out there.
Thank you so much.
And it is because of him that I too had the courage to say, I'm going to build my brand, my business, and my overall career as well in front of the country watching, because I know that I too, I have a Sibusiso somewhere, who wants to go into business, but the conversation, the business language is a bit scary for him, and I'm trying to water it down to Mjita Wasekasi, And for me, it's been an incredible journey. We've been around for the past decade. Can you imagine?
10 years
it's
of
been
steamy
10 years. And it all just started out as me trying to put money together for rent and to go for the next audition. We were lucky enough to be featured on a global platform, sat down with investors, and we started growing, from just a small sock mentioned. We partnered with the likes of Superbalis, Starterfords, I don't know if you still remember them,
yes.
and quite recently the Fushini Group.
I'm that old, yes.
And over the past, you're that old. And over the past 2 years, we've been the sock gifting partners, the official sock gifting partners for the Grammy Awards. But my journey for the past 10 years has been very colorful, but it's been beautiful to be part of it as well.
What would you say contributes to this colorful journey being a young boy from a township?
I think it's a merit of things. It's number one, being teachable, allowing yourself to flow and be part of the journey. Need I remind you that I'm not a traditional entrepreneur, I'm just a speech and drama student who just wanted money. So over the past 10 years, I think what made the brand successful is because I knew that I know nothing about this particular industry that I'm functioning in, and I'm willing to come in and learn. The people that I partner within the organization, they're there to teach me. I'm just a conductor. The partners that we have externally there as well, So for me, I think it's been a different ingredients that has made the brand successful. Lebo, let's bring you in on this conversation. I mean, you're a dragon investor. Many of us know you from that show where you invest your money into young entrepreneurs. But of course, before starting off as an investor, you needed to have burnt your fingers yourself in the space of entrepreneurship. What would you say were some of the highlights in your own entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I think just like Sibu, because we came from a difficult background, right? It was a situation where I said that I've got no one else in the world except myself. And at that time, I made a simple conviction, a commitment to myself, because I finished matric at 20 years old, older than everyone else at school, and I said to myself, the last 20 years of my life were not the greatest because I didn't have any opportunities, I didn't have a good life. So I said to myself, the next 20 or 30 years, I need to have a different life. So I made a decision that at the age of 25, I would become a millionaire, 35 multimillionaire, and 45 billionaire. So I set those targets because I knew that I needed something that's long-term that will motivate me over long-term. Because why? Because entrepreneurship is not an easy game. Right? You are going to go through the most roughest times. But if you've got a long-term goal, it's easy for you, even if those times come, to always look at the big picture and say, this is nothing. So the challenges I've faced as an entrepreneur and myself, if you look at my story and you read about me, there are enormous challenges. I mean, not anyone can just get through those challenges. But because I had a long-term goal, that commitment to that goal is what kept me going as an entrepreneur.
But Mr. Gunguluza, you make it look so easy. You know, from someone who's watching outside, which year has been the most toughest for you? Like one particular year where you're like, you know what, I'm done with this thing, I'm going.
Actually, the toughest years, there was a time that I went into debt of 3 million, and I'd never known such debt in my life. And I thought, there's no ways I'm going to make it out of this. Sure. And through creativity and starting having a reset button and thinking very hard about what is it that I can do differently than I did in the past, and learning from the past and the mistakes of the past, and looking. So let me lock it like this. I was in the entertainment space before. Okay. So in the entertainment, there were times that, these promoters would not pay my artists on time, etc., etc. And I said, this environment is very fickle. Can I go into an environment that's more structured and pays more? Then I made a decision to change the numbers and move to the corporate environment, and that's where then I picked up again. Right. So you have to apply your mind into where your next move is, because no one else is going to tell you.
So before Sibu takes my job, I need to bring in the next question.
I'm sorry.
Because I can see he's on a roll here. As an investor, how do you differentiate between those that you would be able to invest in? Because a lot of entrepreneurs come in. Sibu says he's not a traditional entrepreneur. He's more of the theatrics and the speech and the drama. Then you get other entrepreneurs who are more lifestyle entrepreneurs, who are in it for them to live a certain lifestyle. Where do you tell the difference?
Okay, so the difference obviously is the discipline of running your business, right? Because the lifestyle ones, they tend to lag, and they tend to just have a hand-to-mouth type situation. Like now, I'm now the president of the South African Black Mining Association, right? So most of our black entrepreneurs in mining, they just put a stockpile there, they sell the stockpile, and they make a bit of money, they go to Conga or whatsoever, they blow it there. Next. So then they don't put a structured approach to their businesses where, they build up an asset base and financials and all of that, so that when someone looks at the performance over those 3, 4, 5 years, there's some track record, so then it becomes easier to be funded. But because some of them, they go there for the lifestyle, not really for building long-term businesses, and not even really to employ anyone, really. They just do it for themselves. That I'm driving a nice car, I'm making enough money, I can go pop bottles, and that's where it ends with me. But I think it's very important for us as young entrepreneurs, as black entrepreneurs specifically, to build a profile of your business over a time period, so that later on, when you need funding or you need an investor, it's easy for you to put a business case to that particular investor in order to be invested on.
Speaking of that, I mean, for you to be able to build that profile, for you to have that patience in order for you to be able to build that business, it takes a lot of scraping your knees. And as a young entrepreneur, you have surely come across many challenges that are similar to many other entrepreneurs across the country. Which would you say are the most prevalent ones in terms of challenges that you face with many other entrepreneurs?
I think the biggest challenge, was there's a stereotype that government intervention takes time, or government doesn't intervene that much. Okay. And I think for majority of my business years, for like 6 years, I stayed away from interacting with government because I went with that stereotype that maybe you need a brand envelope or things like that, And the moment I started interacting with government, I saw that there are instruments and programs that are there in place to make the whole journey easy for young South African entrepreneurs, So for me, I think when I started started using those government channels, things started being easy for me. But also I mixed that also with the relationships I have in corporate SA, but also taking seriously our first investor, which is our customer. We really started focusing on the customer, and our business started to change from there.
And that's very important, because some people will register a business and wait on government funding instead of them actually doing the business.
And help is there.
And help is there, most certainly. Why do a lot of small black businesses not get funded?
I think that's a very, very important question. And I think it's very important that I address it clearly. I think the first challenge that we as black entrepreneurs is the ownership structure. Any investor, even banks, remember banks are not, they don't have what you call risk capital. So they want to be sure that firstly you've got a track record and you've got proof that you have been making money and that they're not going to lose their money. But on the other side is venture capitalists. We look at even something more different. We don't like investing in one-man shows. And most black entrepreneurs are one-man shows. So what they need to do, they need to restructure the ownership of their companies so that it shows a bit more diversity. That's why entrepreneurs such as Mark Zuckerberg, they could get so much support because they put what you call a board. The board does not necessarily have to be people that you pay that are expensive. It could be your uncle, your brother who's a CA, or your uncle who's a CA, the other one who was operations director for a particular company. You put those expertise together and form a board, and then you form a management structure so that when you present your business, people can say, no, if this guy disappears with my money, at least I can call that one and that one, because every investor is worried about their investment. Because remember, they're not investing to lose money. They're investing to get a return on investment, the ROI. So they want to first know who is the owner, and secondly, who is surrounding the owner and what kind of expertise and skills do they have. That's the first part. Second part is that they want to know that is there financials for this particular business that they can look at in order for them to be comfortable in investing in this business. And most of our guys, when you ask them to produce management accounts and financial statements, zero, dololo. And then they will tell you, but my business is good. Yes, we understand your business is good, but
it's
show
good on
us
paper.
How is it good? And management accounts, they give us a clear indication of how good your business is. Then the last one is systems. We don't want a situation where when you're not around in your business for 2 weeks, it collapses because you've got no systems in place. And you don't have a right skill set in place. As a result, when you're sick for 2 weeks, value. We don't want that such situation. We want to know that you put enough systems so that your business can even outlive you. So that if we know that something has happened to you, our investment carries on. So those are the three things that I think every entrepreneur in South Africa must look into before they even start applying. Obviously, most importantly, the business case. So the financials must speak to the business case. So the business case must be strong and convincing that you have got a growth pattern and you've got strong projections for your business.
I'm running out of time, but I certainly need to slip this in. Sibu, we're talking about black industrialists. We're moving away from small businesses, and we're looking to have more young people have factories that employ 100 to 200. What move are you making towards that direction?
Well, as a country, we sell over 350,000 brand new cars a year, brand new cars. Government buys 20,000 every quarter, So we as South Africa, we've been selling Chinese brands, American brands, and all these guys. So we thought it's about time that we develop our own car brand as a country, because the market is there, it's willing. You look at all the brands that are booming right now. They're not booming because we're good entrepreneurs. They're booming because their customer wants to consume local content. So right now, we're in the process of establishing the country's first ever car brand, Triple S Cars.
Wow.
And we are hoping to have our first 100 cars in the last quarter of 2024. That's
absolutely amazing. Gentlemen, unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom and your nuggets. And I'm sure that people now, knowing what they would need to have in terms of investing, is certainly what they're going to take out of this conversation.
Just for 1 second, I've actually invested in a company that produces exhaust. I think Sibu must actually get us on board.
He certainly should.
We're done. We've got a deal.
Right.
Let's
here,
go.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Many thanks to the Dragon Investor for bringing us into the picture about entrepreneurship, as well as Sibusiso Ngwenya spoke to us there about his journey on entrepreneurship.